Having surpassed 1,000 completed anime, it's time to review my old favorites and find out what holds up. I'm Sacrabolic, your envoy of hope, and this is Anime Favorite Search. Nekomonogatari Kuro covers the Tsubasa family arc, which is about Tsubasa, where we learn that her family, Hanekawa, learns that her family is abusive and neglectful, but neglectful to the point where they're definitely abusive, and she ends up inflicted with an oddity known as the Sawari Neko, which creates an alternate persona in her, which is Black Hanekawa, which is basically Hanekawa, except she's now a sexy white-haired cat girl that runs around in her lingerie and has a draining effect, a draining power that's extra effective more than it should be when the same oddity affects other people. So she's like this super powerful cat girl now, and she's just going on a rampage to resolve her stress. The arc itself is essentially sandwiched between Araragi questioning whether he has feelings for Hanekawa, and at the end of this, he states that he does not, but the heavy implication, of course, is that he is lying to himself and the audience, but what we get is a sort of resolve forming in him that, although he might be denying his feelings for Hanekawa, he is resolved to not act upon them, which is something, of course, that comes into play both later chronologically and in broadcast order. Regardless of however you are choosing to intake Monogatari, this never stops being a relevant part of the story. And so we can see that in the timeline, Araragi has a lot less experience dealing with oddities. Basically, it was just the Stone Shrine at this point in the Koyomi Stone arc, and then the vampire thing in the Koyomi Vamp arc. So this is a very inexperienced Araragi, and he's yet to fully learn the lessons on how to solve oddities, namely, which is what Oshino usually says, which is that you can't save someone else, they have to save themselves. And that also functions as the overall sort of thesis statement of most of Monogatari, which is all about someone has to save themselves. You can give them one arm, but they have to swing themselves. And this arc, we see Hanekawa essentially wanting a hero, crying out for help, and wanting to be saved, but not herself willing to save herself. And we also see Araragi wanting to help her, and in turn, he learns at least half of the lesson, but doesn't fully realize what it means to save yourself. And I suppose won't for a while, but we come to an arc that is essentially just a setup for a bunch of other arcs, which is actually kind of ironic because this, I believe, ended the first season of the light novels. And so where I go with this is that this is an arc where nothing is really accomplished and nothing really happens, because it's basically just used as setup for further material. And so it's less of an arc about putting a cat to bed and more of an arc about putting a cat back in the bag. Twitch and Discord in the description. I've been Sacrabolic, your envoy of hope. Bye-bye.